Marvel fans, we have even more and even crazier updates about what Sony and Marvel are planning with their Spider-Verse. Let's break it down. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Now, let's get right into this. There have been so many different developments with regards to the live-action Spider-Verse, what is going on with Sony and Marvel, but I want to begin with the initial report and with the initial rumor at this point that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are coming back to Sony to do the live-action Spider-Verse. Let's begin with the fact that Skylar Schuler, who runs the Diz Insider, told everybody on his podcast, on his Patreon, that he has indeed also heard that Tobey Maguire has signed on for Spider-Man 3. So let's go through the different people that are saying this has happened. Most notably, let's start with Fandom Wire, who had the exclusive, depending on how you look at it. Fandom Wire had the exclusive. They are hearing from sources that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield have 100% signed on. Next up, we've got Daniel Richtman. Daniel Richtman is also reporting that they have signed on, or that is at least the plan. That is the direction they are going in. You have Taylor Murphy from The Cultured Nerd, and you have Matthew from the Lightcast podcast, all talking about how, yes, they have both signed on. This is exactly what Sony wants to do, and they're moving forward with it. Even Grace Randolph has admitted that this is real, but she keeps telling people on Twitter that as of yet, Tobey Maguire has not actually signed the contract. And when it comes to Skylar Schuler and the Diz Insider, the only reason this is very significant is because not only does Schuler have a great track record, but he is also borderline Disney shill. No disrespect, Skylar, but it's totally true, man. You're literally running a thing called the Diz Insider. Like, basically, Skylar has access to people at Disney. That is how he does what he does. And if this guy is hearing that they have signed Tobey Maguire, I'm going to go ahead and believe that. And so again, for the skeptics out there, yes, this is officially rumor. It is not confirmed by any studio, and technically Sony did come out and say that it wasn't confirmed, which to me felt like the worst way to approach the subject, and I actually believe it more now, not less, since Sony did that. A couple of things I want to add here. Insider Caleb Williams is also teasing some Andrew Garfield stuff, which would seem to line up with everything we are talking about, and on his Patreon, Daniel Richtman clarified, saying that many people thought Sony would not go ahead with a Venom movie or a Morbius movie, and basically he's telling everybody on his Patreon, please do not doubt Sony's ability to jump in and follow the DC multiverse formula. And that takes us to the newest, juiciest piece coming out from Daniel Richtman, and he says you can file this under rumor, but he heard that Sony might do what DC is doing and go all in with the multiverse idea and do new solo films for Tobey and Andrew. Okay, so let's stop there. And by the way, we did talk about this on the morning stream over on the live streaming channel this morning. Definitely recommend you guys check out the live streams. We had a good chat about it, but this is pretty freaking wild. And I sort of always thought that this was probably the way they were going to go, but so crazy that they might do multiple solo films or solo projects with either Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield. That is so freaking crazy, but it's not even the craziest thing, ladies and gentlemen, because there's a leaked audition tape out there that some people believe, a lot of people believe actually, is for Miles Morales. This was discovered by Charles Murphy over at murphysmultiverse.com. He did a nice little article about it. Recommend you check it out. One of the things he says here is that he doesn't know for sure that this is legitimate, but if it is legitimate, it possibly has heavy spoilers for Spider-Man 3. So, potential spoiler warning for Spider-Man 3. If you don't want any info on that, now is the time to check out of this video. Okay, here we go. It says here, the two-part video begins with a young African-American man out delivering food for what appeared to be his parents' restaurant. The young man is stopped by the NYPD because he is wearing some sort of Spider-Man gear. When questioned by the police, he states he's a fan of Spidey, but it's clear that in whatever universe this takes place, being a fan of Spidey is not okay. This would certainly seem to line up with where we'd think things would pick up in Spidey 3 following the events of the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. The second part of the video sees the young man first in a conversation with his father, then his cousin. When talking to the second person, a breaking news report airs on TV indicating that the costumed hero Spider-Man has been found dead at a museum. Okay, so wow. couple of crazy things to note about that. First of all, insanity that they're going to really play into this whole everybody's after Peter Parker, everybody thinks Spider-Man is a villain thing. That is pretty freaking interesting, and whatever universe this is, he is considered a villain. Now, right away, Charles makes the point that this could very well be from the Tobey, or rather from the Tom Holland universe, from Far From Home. However, I think it's very important to remind you that in the original trailer for Morbius, there was a graffiti picture of Spider-Man with the word murderer next to it, and the thing about that Spider-Man was that it was wearing Tobey Maguire's suit. And the second part of the video is insane. Spider-Man found dead at a museum. Crazy, crazy stuff. Doing a version of the Miles Morales story here. It's just wildly interesting and ties in, again, to all of the crazy Spider-Verse stuff that we have been talking about. Now, let me try to just thoroughly explain all of this from just a news perspective before I go into the speculation part of the video. Here's everything we know. A number of sites and insiders and scoopers are all reporting that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are either signed or very close to being signed to not only be in Spider-Man 3, but possibly even in their own movies over at Sony. There's a lot of indication that Marvel and Sony have been working together on this multiverse connective tissue, whatever they're doing. It seems to be really well planned out and kept hidden behind the scenes, and we're starting to see things leak out about it. There's also the Miles Morales audition tape. We don't know for sure if that actually is for Spider-Man 3 or for any legitimate Marvel or Sony project, but it wouldn't surprise me at all, considering that Miles Morales is the star of their new video game, the next Spider-Man video game, and he was, of course, the star of Into the Spider-Verse, which was a massive hit for Sony Pictures. Okay, so that's all the official stuff. Now let's get into that sweet, sweet speculation. The guy that's playing Miles Morales in this audition tape seems like an older actor. He doesn't seem like the young version of Miles, which leads me to believe that yes, indeed, this character will be from the Tobey Maguire universe. And that kind of makes me think that my prior theory about an older Miles with an older Tobey Maguire would be very interesting to see and solve a couple of the problems for when we would introduce the young Miles in the MCU. Now, many people have been pointing out that this kind of seems like this will be cameo type stuff, that if indeed Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are back for Spider-Man 3, it might be just to do a cameo thing, but then that would make even more sense that they're getting their own movies over at Sony. And if I was Sony, I would completely copy the DC multiverse thing, because why not? Why have one Spider-Man when you can have a ton of different Spider-Man and Spider-Women and do the Spider-Verse with a ton of different awesome movies? It's a no-brainer. It is likely exactly what they are planning with Marvel Studios. It works perfectly. Tom Holland will remain the Spider-Man in the MCU, and Sony will have a whole bunch of different Spider-Man that they can play around with for their movies as well. And so to me, it is looking very evident what the plan is for Spider-Man 3, what the plan is between Marvel and Sony, and I feel like we've kind of been onto this. All of the different reports that have come out, we've sort of read them this way, and it just seems like this is what is happening. But that's the news and my speculation on what is happening. I, of course, want to know what you think about this whole situation, so let us know in the comment section below. And now let's shout out Gus Nevin. Yes, indeed, it was Sasha Banks who had her appearance altered with CGI in the first Mandalorian trailer. And now let's ask another nerd card question before we get out of here. I want to know, what is the name of Miles Morales' Asian friend from Marvel Comics? And no, it isn't Ned. If you like this video, make sure you like it. If you're not subscribed to this channel, what are you thinking? You gotta subscribe so you don't miss any videos. If you're enjoying the content over here, then you will absolutely love the live streams we do straight from Nerd Ventures Tower, Monday through Friday, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.